I am a 22-year-old woman, and about 4 weeks ago, I was browsing local online classifieds to find furniture for my new place. I came across a listing for a sofa that looked like an absolute bargain. Based on the uploaded photos, the piece appeared to be in pristine condition. The person selling it requested to communicate strictly via email, providing an address that read mexicanpoppy66@hotmail.com. That specific handle gave me a very strange vibe, but I ignored my gut and sent over a reasonable cash offer. Less than 5 minutes later, a reply hit my inbox. He accepted the price, but immediately demanded my home address for drop-off. That request set off major alarm bells. I absolutely refused to have a complete stranger show up at my doorstep. I replied, insisting that I drive over to his location to collect it myself. He pushed back hard, repeatedly offering to deliver it directly to me. I finally stopped replying altogether. The following day, he sent another message, this time finally giving up his location. I hesitated, questioning if the trip was worth the risk, but the price was incredibly low. Plus, the route was only a short drive away. I grabbed my keys, jumped into my van, and headed to the provided destination.
Pulling onto his street, I instantly noticed his property was significantly smaller and more run down than the neighboring homes. I walked up and rang the bell. A middle-aged guy wearing a faded baseball cap opened the door. He flashed an unnervingly wide grin and enthusiastically ushered me inside. A wave of dread washed over me the second I stepped over the threshold. He guided me toward the living area where the sofa was sitting. One glance was all it took to see deep scratch marks and obvious rips in the fabric. It looked absolutely nothing like the pristine images posted online. When I pointed out the heavy damage, his smile never faded, and he quickly offered to slash the price. I firmly stated I was no longer interested and turned to leave. That is when the situation escalated from weird to deeply disturbing. As I walked toward the exit, he reached out, gripping my shoulder firmly. He looked at me and said I could take the furniture entirely for free on the condition that I gave him a quote-unquote special favor in return. A sickening wave of disgust hit my stomach. I pulled away instantly, rushed out the door, and locked myself inside my van. I slammed my foot on the gas and sped away without ever glancing in the rearview mirror. Unfortunately, the nightmare was far from over.
Later that exact evening, I was resting in bed with the television playing. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed from my front porch. I hit the mute button and strained to listen. The metallic rattling of someone forcefully testing my front doorknob broke the silence. I leaped out of bed and rushed to the entryway, peering through the lens of the door viewer. The porch was completely empty. Seconds later, the unmistakable squeak of my backyard gate swinging open sent a shock of panic through my chest. I snatched my phone and immediately dialed emergency services. While waiting on the line, the back doorknob started rattling violently. I screamed at the top of my lungs that officers were already dispatched and on their way. The rattling abruptly stopped. The squeak of the gate echoed one last time as the intruder fled the property. 4 weeks have passed since that terrifying night, and thankfully, no one has returned. However, my sense of security is completely shattered. I am absolutely convinced the online seller trailed my van all the way back to my place. The timing was far too perfect to be random. I will never buy anything off a local classified site again, and I am actively hunting for a completely new apartment.
I was on the hunt for a reliable vehicle to gift my son for his 18th birthday. I scoured all the standard automotive websites and online auction platforms, but everything was predictably overpriced. The only place left to find a genuine bargain was the local online classifieds. After a week of digging, I stumbled upon a listing for an early 2000s Japanese sedan. The post claimed it had barely 67,000 miles, zero accident history, and ran perfectly, all for just $3,500. It felt like an absolute steal for such a dependable model with incredibly low mileage. The owner resided roughly 10 miles from my house, a perfectly reasonable distance to travel for a vehicle inspection. I dialed the provided number to arrange a meeting. The guy on the other end sounded completely ordinary. He introduced himself as Bob and heavily guaranteed the engine ran without a single flaw. I grabbed the $3,500 in cash, fully intending to negotiate the price down once I arrived.
I drove up a secluded dirt path leading to his property, arriving about 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The property featured a very small, run-down house sitting on a large plot of land, heavily isolated from any neighboring homes. The garage door was left wide open, so I approached to see if anyone was working inside. It was completely empty, save for a massive, bizarre collection of random auto parts scattered everywhere. The sedan I came to buy was completely missing. The only vehicle parked outside was a rusty, ancient pickup truck. I walked over to the front porch to verify the house numbers. I was definitely at the correct location. The doorbell mechanism was ripped out, so I banged heavily on the wooden door. After knocking continuously for 5 solid minutes, I decided to just dial his number again. Pressing the phone to my ear, I clearly heard a cell phone ringing loudly from directly inside the house. Confusion set in heavily. I knew for a fact I was at the right place, and someone was definitely inside, yet they were deliberately ignoring the door.
I decided to look through the front living room window to see if anyone was moving around. Pressing my face near the glass, visibility was incredibly low because the interior was pitch black. I could barely make out a dusty, antique dining table. But right across from the table, I spotted the silhouette of a man standing totally still at the back door, staring blankly into the backyard. Assuming this was the seller, I struck the glass hard with my knuckles to get his attention. The figure did not flinch or react in the slightest. Since the property lacked any side fences or gates, I simply walked around the perimeter of the building to reach the rear exterior. I could not comprehend how the man failed to hear my loud knocking. But as I approached the glass of the back door, a horrifying realization hit me like a freight train. The figure standing motionless in the doorway was not a living person. It was a fully taxidermied human corpse.
Pure panic took over, and I sprinted back to the driveway as fast as my legs could carry me. I threw myself into the driver's seat and glanced up at the house one last time before throwing it into gear. The window blinds I had just looked through were previously drawn tight, but now 2 of the plastic slats were visibly bent apart. Someone alive was standing inside that dark room, watching my every move. I slammed my foot on the accelerator and sped away without looking back. Looking back, the entire setup was a trap. The massive pile of scattered car parts, the completely missing vehicle, and the horrifying preserved corpse in the window all point to one sickening conclusion. That man never had a car to sell in the first place. His actual goal was entirely different. It leaves me with the deeply disturbing reality that if I had managed to walk inside that house, I likely would have become the next lifeless statue staring out his back door. I was searching for a slightly used smartphone, specifically an older premium model, roughly a year ago. I found a local online classified ad listing one for $200. The seller claimed it was in flawless condition, and he simply wanted to upgrade his device. I lacked the technical knowledge to properly test a phone's hardware, so I asked my younger brother to come along since he understood mobile tech perfectly. We agreed to meet the seller halfway at a local coffee shop parking lot around 10 o'clock at night. 2 massive, highly intimidating men stepped out of a dark sedan and approached our vehicle. One of the guys handed over the device, and it looked completely brand new without a single scratch. My brother inserted his SIM card, ran a quick diagnostic test, and confirmed everything functioned perfectly. Suddenly, the seller demanded $250, totally ignoring his original listed price. I firmly stated I only brought $200 in cash, which clearly angered him. I actually had the extra cash on me, but I refused to be manipulated into paying more. I shoved the $200 into his hand, and he stomped back to his sedan with his partner.
We got back into my vehicle, and I spent about 5 minutes testing the camera and making a quick call. My brother pointed out that the two massive guys were still sitting idle in their dark car, just watching us. I brushed it off and finally pulled out of the parking lot onto the main road. Immediately, my brother noted that their engine roared to life exactly when ours did. I merged onto the highway and hit a red light a few miles down. I checked my rearview mirror and my stomach dropped completely. That exact same dark sedan pulled up directly behind my bumper. It made zero sense because their route home was in the complete opposite direction. I continued driving toward our neighborhood, making several random turns. The sedan aggressively tailed us the entire time, riding my bumper. My brother shouted at me to pull over, but I absolutely refused to stop the car. I knew those men were hunting for a violent confrontation. They were not honking or trying to signal us. They were looking to cause severe damage. I realized I had to make a highly reckless move to shake them off. Approaching a major intersection, the traffic signal snapped to red. I slammed my foot on the gas and blasted straight through the crossing right before cross traffic started moving. My brother screamed in terror, calling me insane, but the aggressive maneuver worked flawlessly. The sedan got stuck at the light, and they could not follow. We eventually made it back to our driveway after taking a massive detour. My adrenaline was pumping violently, but I was just thrilled to have escaped and scored a working phone. Fast forward a few hours. The house was pitch black, and my parents and brother were fast asleep. I was sitting up in bed customizing the phone settings when the heavy slam of 2 car doors violently broke the silence outside. I rushed to the window, and my blood ran freezing cold. That exact same dark sedan was parked right in front of our property. The 2 men were already walking up our driveway. I immediately sprinted to my parents' room, waking my father and rapidly explaining the threat. He vaulted out of bed, grabbed a solid wooden baseball bat, and positioned himself behind the front entryway. A massive, violent pounding hit our front door. My dad screamed at the top of his lungs for them to back off. A deep, aggressive voice on the other side shouted back, claiming he was heavily armed and threatened to blow the deadbolt clean off the hinges if we did not open up. My dad ordered me to dial our neighbor Joe, an off-duty police officer living just 2 houses down. I called Joe, who ordered us to stay completely hidden while he sprinted over. Then came the absolute most terrifying moment of my entire existence. The sharp crack of a suppressed gunshot popped from the front porch. I looked over and saw a fresh bullet hole blasted through the thick wood of the door, mere inches from my father's skull. My dad retreated down the hall as we listened in sheer panic. A second later, we heard Joe screaming at the top of his lungs outside, ordering the men to drop their firearms. My dad charged outside to assist as the attackers surrendered their weapons. Joe successfully cuffed both criminals on the spot. Enduring that night was the most horrifying ordeal I have ever faced, but watching them get thrown into the back of a squad car was the absolute greatest relief of my entire life.